Shout out to all my high exalted warriors, man. Rum Gadar Gabarian. Run. War. They said they got the time, boys, say no more. Look up to the sky for a flaming sword. It's no surprise we who they hating on. Ancient war, break them all, then we praise our Lord. See we them kings, we coming back. Take everything, make it a stack. Ancient of days, painting the map. Trusting the king, holy in black. Twisting their brain, but it's a fact. This is the way, killing the chat. They are Josiah, drill them to ash. You'll see, one day, break down that cocaine. Diablo, jewelry, all day. Propane, follows, coonies, sellouts. You'll be sorrow. Nigga, they hate these promises. You'll be swallowed. It was getting scary. Putting their head in the cemetery. By what they feed or you getting buried. Never been sweeter than Ben and Jerry's. Pray to the heavens, I'm military. Child of the east in my city near me. Drinking the grape cause I'm getting weary. Yahweh Ha'abba, the glory glaring. War.
They say they got that time, boy, say no more. Look up to the sky for that flaming sword. They done woke a lion, boy, we Davis boys. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war.
Broke to the chain and I'm running up. Inches of freak, I ain't blunted up. Poured up my heart in the jungle love. The curses of Jake were the mother, bro. Gave me a sword, I was Gideon. Hiding our face, couldn't cover up. It's they day of oblivion. Y'all see me on main and I'm cutting up. Ain't no gang with your army. Yeah, them generals know me. Never no cream in the coffee. Cherub beaming, we soaring. Blue beaming, we zoning. It's just a thief in the night. And we Ezekiel bright. But didn't we give him a warning? Shemaiah Shallah. Who the must call? It be that Rum Gadar. Kodash Ha'abah. Russian Kumbaya. Latizaya Wan. Coming from the heart. Till I join the morning. Don't need opinions, truthfully. Boy, this bigger than you and me. Seek in the book and you'll see that predestined jubilee. And my kingdom of heaven be rooted deep. And I ain't repping it usually. It's in the blood for mutiny. We bringing the weapon and you gon' see war.
They say they got that time, boy, say no more. Look up to the sky for that flaming sword. They done woke a lion, boy, we Davis boys. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war.
Shemaiah Shalala Yahweh Allah Hayanahu Yahweh Echad Aman Rum Gadar Gabarian Kana Shaquat
Fire, right? All praise to the Most High. Israelite music is great music, right? Get you right in the spirit. You go into camp, you know you got your bass in your speaker. You out there ready for war, right? On the ride to camp, you're preparing yourself mentally, physically. Hey, it is what it is, man. That's why it's not an easy thing going out to camp. Shout out to the brothers that do camp. Shout out to the brothers that go out there, put their life on the line to teach the Lordship of the house of Israel, which is our people, of course, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, right? This is what we do as Israelites. We teach our people, right? So going into the topic, today's topic is what? America versus the Bible, right? And it's a great topic because a lot of people that don't know the Bible may believe that America is a God-fearing nation. America is a great nation for our people. This is the land of liberty. We have our freedom here. We're free. We're no longer slaves. All these things that our people boiled up in one believe, right? They believe that America is the most powerful nation. Nobody can bring it down. And so guess what? We're here to actually see if America's ways is the ways of the Bible, or is it not? Right? That's the most important thing. A lot of people in America they believe in God, and they actually believe they can believe in God and love America at the same time, which is impossible. That's an oxymoron, right? The Lord said what? We're supposed to hate whatever he hates. So we're going to get into some scriptures. We're going to get into some of the things that America be doing, right? And we're going to see if this is really a God-fearing nation. So once again, for those on Clubhouse, you can go on the YouTube. The link is on top. You can click it to see the visual part of it. All right. And again, if you only could do Clubhouse, that's cool too, right? But I'm about to share my screen so we get straight into the PowerPoint. Okay. So here we are, America versus the Bible. Right. First and foremost, all praise to the Most High Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shah for another day of life, another day to get right. Okay. While we're in captivity, of course, I always tell brothers and sisters, do the best you could. You know, a lot of trials and tribulations, but with the Most High, we're able to overcome that and you know, go over any obstacle that may come in our way, right? Always got to encourage ourselves in the spirit. Why? Because it's America can wear you down, right? America can, you know, depress our people, put our people in the spirit of depression. It could put our people in the spirit of loneliness, right? We don't have brothers and sisters around you. We can get hard a little bit, right? This walk, if you don't have people that's with you around you, that's in the same walk, it could be hard, right? You'll feel like Alicia. You think you're the only one when the Most High got several other thousands raised up. So our scriptures is the hope, right? The scriptures is our hope, is what we believe in. And wholeheartedly, we say what? We are the Israelites. We're supposed to keep the commandments of the Most High. So we're going to get into this topic, man. Right? Let's go to the first slide. So in God we trust. That's a famous saying that a lot of people hear, especially here in America, right? In God we trust. In God we trust. They got it in courtrooms, right? They got it on the back of your dollar bills. This is what supposedly America represents. So we're going to test that out, because it's one thing to say one thing, right? And it's another thing to say another. So William W. Wallace, who is this? Right? It says the motto, "In God we trust," was coined by William W. Wallace, a captain of the 125th Pennsylvania Infantry in August 1862. The motto was adopted by the U.S. Congress in 1956 and signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on July 30th, 1956. So this phrase comes from somebody, right? And that's what we're reading right now. In God we trust. They didn't just come up with this, right? They didn't just say, hey, listen, let's just put in God we trust. It was a concept behind it. Okay, reading on. The motto appears on the U.S. currency and coins, as well as some state flags and seals. The precise phrase, "In God we trust," is also found in the publication of Isaac Watts Psalter, which was revised and printed in America in 1785. Watts had translated Psalm chapter 115, verses 9 through 11, with the words, "Britain, trust the Lord," which we're going to get into that too. Anytime they quote scriptures, you know you got to go back and read it, because what happens is when people quote scriptures and don't know what they're talking about, they normally end up cutting themselves, right? So we're going to keep that in mind. Reading on. An American publisher, Joel Barlow, sought to revise Watts' Psalter for an American audience. Barlow's goal was to modify Watts in such a way as to purge the un-American flavor. Barlow simply translated Psalms chapter 115, verses 9 through 11, with the words, "In God we trust." So we're going to test that. We're going to go to the scripture, right? This is the book of Psalm, chapter 115, verse 19 through 11. "O Israel, trust thou in the Lord." I mean, come on. He just cut himself. He just cut himself. See, what you got to understand is, a lot of people pick up the Bible and try to make phrases out of it, take some phrases and try to fit the criterion on it, but they miss the context. So even in the book of Psalm, the 115th chapter, in the 9th verse, it's saying, "O Israel." So the subject is Israel. Who is the Most High talking to? Israel. "Trust thou in the Lord, he is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. Ye that fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. So the subject matter is Israel and sons of Aaron. This is who the Most High is talking to, right? So this guy, he tried to quote the scripture and take the phrase "in God we trust" and correlate it with the scripture, not knowing he's talking to Israel. He ain't talking to nobody else, right? So let's now we know where the phrase "in God we trust" comes from, where it originates from, how they came up with the concept. They looked at the scripture and said, let's take that and let it fit our agenda. We took it from the Bible. It sounds good. It's smooth words. It sounds good to the people, right? Because their goal was to make everything un-American, right? Be done away with, basically. Let's get away with everything that's un-American, which in their eyes, they're saying, let's look like a righteous nation. Let's look like a God-fearing nation. Let's look like a nation that actually serves God and believes in his word. That's why they do these things, brothers and sisters. But you always got to go back and read for yourself. Why? Because you'll be surprised at how many people cut themselves quoting the scripture, right? So let's go to the next slide. So presidents are sworn in by putting their left hand on the Bible and raising their right hand. Okay, every president that's sworn in, okay, you'll see that they'll do that. You'll see them on live TV being sworn in, and they have one hand on the Bible, which is their left hand, and their right hand raised up. Okay, let's see an example of that, right? Your man Joe Biden, Joe Crack Biden, right? The dude who can't talk straight, forgets his sentence. All right, let's see what an example of this. Let me skip a little bit too.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden.
See that? So as he has his left hand on the Bible, he has his right hand up, and he's swearing on the Bible. Now, the Bible he has his left hand on is a 19th century Bible, which is an old Bible, so it don't look like your regular King James pocket Bible, but that's a regular Bible. It's just the older version, right? So let's keep on playing it.
Biden Jr. do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
the
office of President of the United States
office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of
He's struggling. Joe Biden's struggling to keep up to repeat the sentences. Damn. And they swearing him in office. So you see that he's swearing to do right. He's swearing to keep his words, his promises. He's swearing to do the right thing by the American people, right? Now we see where this country's going. It's going downhill. You see the president, every time he has a press conference, can't complete sentences. He's walking the wrong way. He's riding a bicycle, falling over. He's tripping over stuff. He stepped on a cat a couple times back. But this is our president, so-called our president, because it's not my president, right? We don't vote. Israelites, we don't vote. We know that. But for the people that do vote, that's listening to this class, guess what? This is your president. And he's swearing on the Bible to perform every duty that he promised the people. Let's play a little bit more, then we go to the next slide.
Of the United States.
Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
See that? There we go. So you see that the president was sworn in on the Bible. Now we're going to test that. We're going to see, okay, let's go into the Bible and let's go into the ways of America to see if they match up. They're supposed to. They're supposed to. All right, let's go to the next slide. So part of the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20:7, it says, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. For the Lord will not hold them guiltless that taketh his name in vain. So how do you take the Most High's name in vain? You're using this name to be dishonest. You're using this name to commit dishonorable acts. You're using this name to create false oaths. And you're using this name for evil deeds, period. Now, we know that they don't know the name of the Most High. We know the name of the Most High is Yahweh. They might know him as God and call him as God. We know that's not his name. But spiritually speaking, we see that they're trying to use God's name in vain. Why? Because not only are they swearing in on the Bible, but the acts of dishonesty, false oaths, and evil deeds, that's attached with that. So the Lord said he's not going to hold them guiltless that take his name in vain. So let's go to the next slide. As we go on, we're going to see the hypocrisy, right? We're going to see if it's true, if they are really abiding by God's laws and word, or are they hypocrites? Let's go to the next slide. So Christ Yahushua teaches us not to swear. That's a problem already. We just heard Joe Biden say, I swear. He was sworn in. The book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 33 through 36. It says, again, ye have heard it have been said by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all. So Biden just broke the teachings of Yahushua, Christ. He dismissed this teaching. He swore in the Bible, but skipped over the book of Matthew. How do we know this? Because he swore when Yahushua Christ told us not to swear at all. Reading on, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king, neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou cannot make one hair white or black. In other words, you can't guarantee anything in life. If I say, brother, tomorrow, I swear I'm going to give you $10 million, just as an example, right? Tomorrow come, I can't guarantee that because anything can happen. I could lose my money. I could lose something, right, that's going to force me to use that money that I promised you. I could pass away. Anything can happen. That's why Christ said, you can't make a hair white or black. That's not up to you. That's up to the Most High. The book of Proverbs, the 20th chapter, tells us what? The Lord directs all of our steps. Man's goings are of the Lord's. How then can a man understand his own going? So we're not supposed to swear at all, brothers and sisters. But we see that the president of the United States of America is swearing on the Bible, the same book that told us not to do it. So already we see an inconsistency. Right? Let's go to the next slide. So who was John Adams? Okay, John Adams, some of us know, some of us don't. So for those that don't know, John Adams was the second president of the United States. Right? And he has a background. He was an American statesman, an attorney, a diplomat, a writer, and he was considered one of the founding fathers. I know y'all have heard of that before, the founding fathers of America. Right? They replaced the faces on the rocks from natives to the white men, to the Europeans that conquered this land. So he's considered one of the founding fathers, right? And he served from 1797 to 1801. Now let's get into this article. Why am I bringing him up? It's for a reason, right? Let's get into this article real quick because he strongly believed in the Constitution. He strongly believed in the Constitution, and he had a couple of things to say about it. Right? So let's read that. Wait, is this it? Let's see. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I think it may be this one right here. Let's see. Yep, got it. So this is the one, right? So we go to this website and you can find some information on John Adams. And I just want to focus on some of the things he said. Okay, so when you see here on the screen, on the highlighted part, this is one of the things he said. He says, while our country remains untainted, first of all, that was a lie, John Adams. right? By the time he was president, this land was already conquered and stolen from the Native American Indians. This land was already filled with so-called black slaves that was brought over on cargo slave ships from the West. So to say while our country remains untainted, that means that he's tainting the history of America already. Reading on, with the principles and manners which are now produced in desolation in so many parts of the world, while she continues sincere and incapable of insidious and impious policies, we shall have the strongest reason to rejoice in the local destination assigned by us by providence. Right? Let me go down and get to the key point. So this is what he says here. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. Keep that in mind. He's stating the Constitution was created for moral and religious people. Reading on. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. So he's comparing the Constitution of America above any other constitution in the world. Right? This is John Adams, second president of the United States, saying this. And why am I bringing this out, brothers and sisters? Because the Constitution has things in it that doesn't benefit our people. At least in those times, it wasn't benefiting our people. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay? We go to the next slide. Let's read this article, which is the Constitution. Let's read a little bit about the Constitution that he's talking about. Okay? So we see here, right, that the Constitution is also slack. Is this the one I want? It's not the one I want. Let me see. Let's see. So the Constitution says what? The Constitution says that minorities or so-called slaves or so-called blacks and even Native Americans at that time, because they were slaves too, it says we are 3/5 of a person. Right? That's what the Constitution says. Now you look at this article here, you can read into it and it'll explain how that came about. Because slaves needed representatives in order to do what? To vote. So at that time, how were they gaining their voting rights? By being considered 3/5 of a person. Meaning you need 3 slaves in order to equate to a white person. See that? So when you read this part right here, it says, though the word slavery does not appear in the Constitution, the issue was central to the debates over commerce and representation. The 3/5 compromise provided that 3/5, 60% of enslaved people in each state will count toward congressional representation, which greatly increased the number of congressional seats in several states, particularly in the South. So to be considered 3/5 of a person, that means that the Constitution doesn't acknowledge us as a full human being. That's what the Constitution says. The Constitution was highly praised by John Adams. And he said what? That the Constitution is for religious and moral people. So by the time he said it is for moral people, part of his morals was to keep us enslaved. Y'all see that, brothers and sisters? They disregarded us as slaves, but still thought that was moral of them. Right? So there's one article. Let me see the other article I'm looking for as well. Right? There's another article that kind of goes a little more to information. Right? Let's read this real quick. Explanation: there are lines from the controversial 3/5 clause originally written into Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution. The 3/5 compromise was a part of a series of compromises between Northern and Southern representatives enacted by the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which was around the time of John Adams as well, which declared that 3/5 of the slave population in the state would be counted for purposes of determining representation in Congress and direct taxation. Okay, In 1868, the 14th Amendment officially repealed this compromise. So now what do we have? We have so-called rights to vote now, right? Now you can vote. Now you could be a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, a minority, and now you can go out and vote, and your count will be your count or your vote will be counted as one, supposedly, quote unquote. Why do I say that? Because we all know the elections are rigged. We see that during Donald Trump. We see that during Obama. We've seen it. If we know that the elections are rigged, what does that mean? That means they fooled us into believing we have rights now. Right? Because now they're saying, okay, you could go ahead and vote, but your vote don't matter anyway because we're over here playing with the numbers. We're over here already selecting the president while we're just experimenting on you to see who actually votes. And it's a sad case to see that our people are one of the main ones that go to the voting booth. Every time it's election time, who do you see outside waiting in our neighborhoods? So-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Voting for the next oppressor. Because obviously the presidents think less of us. And this hasn't changed. To them, this is the American way. To do it any other way would be called un-American. See that, brothers and sisters? So that's why I wanted to bring out John Adams. Why? Because he is highly in favor, or was highly in favor of the Constitution that counts us as 3/5 of a person to be considered one white person. Okay? So you go to the next slide. So already we're seeing what? We're seeing that America's already walking contrary to what the Bible says. Why? Because what does the Bible say about Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans? Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, it says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God." We ain't no 3/5 of a person. We ain't no minorities. We ain't no slaves. The Most High God called us a holy people. Reading on. "The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." That don't sound like 3/5 of a person to me. If anything, guess what? That would mean that the other nations are considered 3/5 of a person. If you want to be honest, if we're above all people, that means there's levels to this. All other nations are beneath us, but they made us believe the opposite. And what do? They put these things into law. Therefore, we're trapped. There's no way we could go because the law says you can't do this as a minority. The law says you can't do that. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2 says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord has chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth." So if Joe Biden and these presidents swore in on the Bible, why are they not reading these scriptures? Why are they creating a constitution that goes contrary to the Bible? The very same book they swore on. The very same book they swore to uphold. In God we trust, in your courtrooms, but they're not enforcing these laws of the Bible. That's a contradiction. That's a hypocrisy. So we're seeing that the Lord called us a holy people above all nations. Let's go to the next slide. Deuteronomy 26 and 18 through 19. "And the Lord hath avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people as he hath promised, and that thou should keep all his commandments." See that? They're not keeping his commandments. America's not enforcing the commandments of the Bible. Reading on. "And to make thee high above all nations, which he hath made in praise and in name and in honor, and that thou mayest be an holy people unto the Lord thy God as he hath spoken." So the Most High spoken this. So they took matters into their own hands and said, no, we're going to change the rules now. They ain't no longer a nation above all people. We're going to make them 3/5 of a person. They ain't no longer a special people. We're going to make them thugs, hoodlums, right? Niggas, spicks, gangbangers. That's what we're going to make them. Let's go over to 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23. It says, And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel? Who's like us? You see, so the Bible exalts our people, while America downplays our people. The Bible tells us we are special people. America tells us we ain't good for nothing. Right? This is opposite of each other. Reading on, whom God went to redeem for people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. So basically, who's like unto us, who the Most High redeemed from Egypt? And guess what? When Christ comes back, he's going to redeem us once more. He's going to redeem us from these unrighteous laws that America's imposing on us. He's going to redeem us from this oppression. He's going to redeem us from being looked down upon, in front of the nations. He's going to redeem us a second time. Verse 24, for thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people Israel to be a people unto thee forever. I mean, and that's a cut for those that say that Israel was done away with as a nation so the Gentiles could come in now. The Lord said Israel to be a people unto him forever. We know Malachi 3:6 says what? God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He don't change. So we are people unto the Most High God, Yahweh, forever. Reading on. And thou, Lord, art become their God. So the Most High has become our God, our power. And guess what? What America has done is turned that upside down to the point where our people believe the white man is God now. These Europeans ruling over us is God now. The president is God now. Joe Biden, Donald Trump is God now. Right? That's what America promotes. So already, it's a fast start to disproving how America is for the Bible, right? But we got more, right? Let's go on to the next slide. The 10 Commandments. And that's one of the main things we're going to go over today is mainly the 10 Commandments. And then in other parts and other series, we're going to branch out to other commandments, right? Because there's 613 of them. We're just going over 10. And we're seeing they're going off already. So Exodus chapter 20, verse 3 says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That should be simple, right? That should be something that America should be following if they believe in the Bible. That's something the Catholics, the Christians, the Muslims, right? If you don't see them swearing on the Quran, you don't see the president swearing on the Quran. So if they're swearing on the Bible, that's to enforce what's in the Bible, including Exodus 20, verse 3. So thou shalt have no other gods before me. Let's go to the next slide. False gods honored and celebrated in America. So the law says thou shalt have no other gods before me, but America allows you to celebrate and honor all these different gods. Some of these I already went over. Some of them I added on to the list, right? So let's start with Christmas. Christmas is the worshiping and the honoring of the agricultural god Saturn, which was a Roman festival with Babylonian customs. If you know anything about the Roman customs, they extracted that back then from the Babylonian customs. It wasn't nothing new. They just added their own little spin to it, right? New Year's, the worshiping and the honoring of the god and goddesses of the new year, Yemaya and Janus. Valentine's Day, worshiping and honoring the goddess of marriage, Juno and Cupid, who was a god born of Mercury, the messenger of the gods, and Venus, the goddess of love. These are different gods, brothers and sisters. This is what America promotes, because we got what? Every year we got Valentine's Day. We got, every year we got we got simps being robbed from their money, right? By women. Why? Because they want to be simple and follow a tradition they don't know about. But I seen the video. Listen, I seen the video of a brother bought a not so expensive gift for his girl on Valentine's Day, and she's like, "This is all I get," right? And why did it turn out that way? Because these holidays are not righteous to begin with. They're not rooted in a righteous foundation. Therefore, the outcome is going to be negative. Thanksgiving. The worshiping and honoring of the Greek goddess of agriculture and harvest, Demeter, was added to the annual celebration on top of celebrating the slaughter of Native American Indians. So that's what you're celebrating when you celebrate Thanksgiving. That's the God that you're worshiping and honoring when you celebrate Thanksgiving. Ash Wednesday, right? The people that walk around with ash on their forehead, like somebody put out a cigarette on their forehead, just, you know what, let me clip this. Bam. Just put it right on their forehead, right? That's pagan too. In the Nordic pagan religion, placing ashes above one's brow was believed to ensure the protection of the Norse god Odin. This practice spread to Europe during the Vikings' conquest. This laying on ashes of was done on Wednesday, the day named for Odin, Odin's Day. So that's another false pagan god that America allows our people to worship and everybody around to worship, right? And they disguise it under Ash Wednesday. Let's go to the next slide. April Fool's Day. I know when I was growing up, I didn't know nothing about this. This is before the truth, before I even knew the scriptures, before I even looked into what I was celebrating. Oh, yeah, April Fools. Yo, I got this for you. Word, April Fools. Right? You know how we as kids play, right? But we don't know the meaning. Why? Because we're not taught these things. So April Fool's Day, it derives from the ancient Roman religious festival Hilaria, which was celebrated on the spring equinox. During Hilaria, Romans honored Cybele, an Anatolian mother goddess adopted into the Roman pantheon of gods through Greece. Now, what's the connection with Greece and Rome? They were ran by Edomites, so-called Europeans, so-called white people that we call today, that title. So the same people that were ruling Greece were the same people that was ruling Rome. And that's why the Romans, all they did was go back and refreshed the customs of Greece, because they're the same people. Reading on. Cybele was also had a son and a lover, son/lover, right? A son/lover named Addis. So this person, he had a son and a lover. Disgusting, right? Who committed suicide by castrating himself before a forced marriage to someone else. To honor Addis' life, Cybele made it so his corpse would never decay. Every spring, Addis would be reborn with the spring vegetation. So even the stories behind these false gods, you see how nasty it is. Like, you're going to make a god who had a son and a lover at the same time? That's disgusting, man. That's crazy. This was going on in Rome. It was going on in Greece too. Easter, the goddess of spring, in whose honor sacrifices were offered about Passover time each year. The egg was a symbol of fertility and of renewed life goes back to the ancient Egyptians and Persians, who had also the custom of coloring and eating eggs during their spring festival. Anybody out there that don't know about Easter? That's what you celebrate. Babylonian customs, Persian customs. Reading on. The egg represents the hatching of the Venus Ishtar, who fell from heaven to Euphrates. Right? And this is ridiculous, man. These are the pagan gods that are actually worshipped. They bow down, they worship, they pray to these false gods. It's ridiculous. And we had our people doing the same thing, following along. Nowadays, in modern times, they'll just say, hey, it's a celebration, man. It's a get together with the family. But you're not understanding that you're following something that's rooted in wickedness. You're taking the customs of a pagan false god, right? Something that the Bible says to stay away from. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. You're taking that custom and making it into your own basically basic custom. Oh, it's a birthday, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do this cake and everything, but it's not because I'm worshiping the God. No, that's the custom of that false god, right? Not supposed to be doing these things. So that's what the Most High is talking about, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me, but America doesn't mind. You could worship you could worship a damn dog in America and you won't get penalized for it. There's no laws against it. Let's go to the next slide. So Exodus chapter 20 verse 4 says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. That's one thing that we got to get clear too. It's not the making of a symbol or an image, right? For example, if I make a picture of a lion, that's not what the scripture is talking about. It's if I make a picture of a lion and start bowing down and worshiping this picture. That's what the scripture is talking about. Because we see symbolism all throughout the scriptures. The 12 tribes of Israel, they all have their own symbol that represents them that the Most High gave them. Right? The lion is Judah, Issachar is the donkey, so on and so forth. Benjamin is the wolf, right? That doesn't mean that, oh, the Most High is wrong, or we're wrong representing ourselves according to symbols or you know, certain characteristics of animals or whatever. It's the bowing down and worshiping of these things. That's what the Lord is talking about, because that's what our people was doing back in the day. Thou shalt not bow thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So let's go to the next slide. Let's see if America at least keeps that. Now we see what idol worship is permitted in America. We got Christianity, got Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and a whole bunch of, you know, Satanists. You know, we got a whole bunch of, you know, religions here in America that the government allows you to practice. But we're reading the Bible and there's nothing us know not to do this. So why is America allowing this? Obviously because it's not a righteous nation. Obviously because it's not a God-fearing nation. Obviously because in God they don't trust. It's obvious. So all these religions is permitted here in America. Let's go to the next slide. Now you see the pictures. There's no penalty for this here in America. There's no law saying you can't bow down to these statues. If you look at these pictures, you see all these people bowing down to statues. You see on the bottom third, right, to the right, you see Satanists getting together, getting ready for their worship and their satanic prayers. This is not checked at all. As a matter of fact, the government opens institutions and churches to justify these things and allow you to do this comfortably. Why? Because there's an agenda to keep you asleep. There's an agenda to keep us down, degraded, and worshiping these false statues. Why? Because they know that by doing that, we're in conflict with the Most High. They know by doing that, the Most High would judge us according to our actions. They know that in doing that, we get farther away from the commandments of the Most High, from reading the Bible, and from doing what the Most High actually told us to do. We're getting far away from it once they promote this. So what better way to control the people besides religion? What better way to prevent the people from rising up besides putting them to sleep spiritually and mentally? Like they always say, right? They took the chains off our necks and put them on brains now. It's like a trained dog. We know where to go. We know where the slave master's at, and that's what we're going to as a people, right? That's what they're feeding us, man. So let's go to the next slide. So freedom of religion is allowed according to the First Amendment. But guess what? Freedom of religion is not allowed according to the Bible. Let's read Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. It says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So there's no light in that First Amendment right that you have that allows you to worship false gods, false idols, and join religion. Something the Bible commands us not to do. Okay, we have the free, according to the Bible, we have the choice to do what? Do the right thing or do the wrong thing. That's the only two choices. There's no freedom in between. It's either right or wrong. So the freedom of religion, according to the First Amendment, will allow you to break the laws of God. That's what it allows you to do. Let's go on to the next slide. The Statue of Liberty is an idol. Okay, again, some might know, some might not. But the Statue of Liberty is an idol after a Greek goddess. Okay, so it says the Statue of Liberty inspiration, the Roman goddess Libertas. In the late 1800s, one of the most significant female icons in American culture was the Roman goddess Libertas. Now, notice it's a Roman goddess. Why is America dragging the customs of Rome into America along with everything else, Greece, ancient Babylon, Persia, and all that? Because America is spiritual Sodom and Egypt. America is an extension of Rome, ran by the same nation of people. Okay? They're ran by the Edomites, the Europeans, the so-called white man. They was running Greece, they was running Rome, and now they're running America. So America is just the extension of Rome. That's all it is. That's why everything you see here is going back to Greek goddesses and Roman culture. Hell, the Statue of Liberty to many represents what? Freedom. And it's going back to a Roman Greek goddess. Or Slakia, a Roman goddess, right? Reading on. In ancient Rome, she was worshipped as the goddess of freedom, particularly among slaves. Even in the 19th century, this figure could be found on American coins in popular culture and on civic art. Representations of her were commonly used symbolically by artists, so it was the perfect inspiration for Bartholdi. Now, Bartholdi is the one that came up with the concept of so-called Statue of Liberty, which he knew was the Roman goddess, Libertas, right? There was a lot for Bartholdi to consider when figuring out the design for the statue. Fortunately for him, there were already a number of figures and monuments dedicated to liberty and freedom across the globe. Each one served as inspiration for Bartholdi's final design. There was a lot for Bartholdi to consider when figuring out the design for the statue. Fortunately for him, there were already a number of figures and monuments dedicated to liberty across the globe. Each one served as an inspiration. So basically, guess what? Every nation had a sign of liberty, right? But we know that America being the superpower now, okay, America being the dominating nation right now in terms of warfare, in which that's diminishing. You see, they're getting weaker by the day, right? The Most High is going to bring this place down in an hour because it's getting weaker by the day. But it's so-called the superpower for now. Because that's how the Most High established it, right? Guess what? They used the Greek goddess as a sign of liberty. So that Statue of Liberty that people be going around and go visiting, oh, I'm going to see the Statue of Liberty. You don't even know. You're going to see a Roman goddess. You see that? So yes, the Statue of Liberty is also an idol. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8, right through 11. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So we ain't supposed to be laboring on the Sabbath, right? The Lord said the Sabbath is a day of rest, in which us Israelites, well, not all Israelites, but us over in lands of Israel, we believe that the seventh day is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That's the Sabbath for us. Okay, verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath and hallowed it. So, okay, the Sabbath day is on the seventh day. Cool. Does America keep the Sabbath day? Right? Again, they swore in the Bible. Let's see. Right? Leviticus 23 and 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath. And the reason I'm bringing this scripture out, because it goes just a little more detail, right, about the Sabbath. A memorial of blumping of trumpets and holy convocation. ye shall do no servile work therein. So if it's a Sabbath to us and we ain't supposed to do no servile work, guess what? On the Sabbath, we ain't supposed to do no servile work. That's the commandment. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement before you and the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. Right? It's talking about atonement, but there's also a Sabbath, right? And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from amongst his people. Verse 31, ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. And ye shall afflict the souls in the 9th day of the month at even, from even to even, shall you celebrate your Sabbath. So we see that what? From even to even is how we celebrate our Sabbaths. So right now we in Shabbat, right? Sundown today is when the Shabbat ends, the Sabbath. So let's see what America promotes. Okay, businesses are allowed to operate 7 days a week in America. In other words, there's no Sabbath here promoted in America. There's no law in the Constitution or anything that says we have to keep the Sabbath holy. So on the 7th day, there's no servile work, no buying, no selling, no cooking, none of that. There's no law here in America that says that. You got restaurants that's open. You got gas stations that's open, right? And I just named some of the biggest names that people know. You got Walmart, Target, McDonald's, ShopRite, Staples, liquor stores, Home Depot, and many other stores that's open, operating 7 days a week. So far, is this really a God-fearing country? Right? For those that may be new, listening to the class, might be learning this knowledge and is new to this truth. Is America really a God-fearing country? We're running all over the commandments to see which ones is America keeping. So far, we see just by the 10 commandments, they're not keeping none of them. Right, let's go on to the next slide. The Sabbath day is not Sunday. That's another thing. You'll see some stores close down on Sundays. Why? Because America pushes that Sunday is a day of rest. Not so much that it's a law that every store should be shut down, just more on a philosophical level, right? On a tradition level. Hey, listen, those that's following this religion, we're going to be off on Sundays. Where did that come from? Right, you go to BibleInfo.com. That's why I got this article here. It says, no biblical evidence for Sunday worship. None of these verses suggest that the apostles intended to stop observing the 7th-day Sabbath and begin worshiping on Sunday. Okay, so no verses clearly indicate that Sunday, right, is a 7th day or the 7th day or the Sabbath. There is clearly no New Testament evidence for a change of the Sabbath from Saturday, the 7th day of the week, to Sunday, the 1st day of the week. The change came after the days of Yahushua Christ and the apostles. So we must turn to history to see when and how this change came about. So at the time of the apostles in Christ, the Sabbath was not changed to Sunday. At that time, everybody knew when the Sabbath was, and everybody was following the Sabbath accordingly. The 7th day, rest and do what you got to do, right? It wasn't until after, later on down the line, that was changed. Now, here's the thing. Imagine trying to change the Sabbath during the lifetime of Christ and the apostles. They would have checked that. They would have said, hell no, what are you doing? Today's not the Sabbath. So it wasn't in their benefit to even change that during the time of Christ and the apostles. Because not only was Christ walking on the earth, but after Christ, he had apostles who walked with him, who he taught directly, who knew that Sunday was not the day of worship. They knew that. So evidence in history, the change from Sabbath observance to Sunday observance took place after the New Testament was completed and all the apostles had died. History records that Christians eventually shifted from worshiping and resting on the seventh day to the first day of the week. Now, according to the very calendar that they give us today, we look at Sunday, and that's actually the first day of the week. Sunday is look at any calendar right now. Sunday is the first day of the week. So how are people confusing that with the seventh day when your very own calendar is letting you know Sunday is the first day? They had the truth right in plain sight. A history of the problem shows that in some places it was really only after some centuries that the Sabbath rest really was entirely abolished, and by that time the practice of observing a bodily rest on Sunday had taken its place. So over the time, the Sabbath kept getting brushed to the side, right? Eventually to bring in this Sunday worship. That's why you see religion worshiping on Sunday, because that's a custom that they adopted back then from pagans, right? From those who changed the actual Sabbath. Reading on, of course, believers didn't stop observing the seventh-day Sabbath on a given weekend and then suddenly begin keeping Sunday as the Lord's day. The earliest authentic instance of Sunday observance by Christians occurred in Italy in the middle of the 2nd century after Christ. For a long time after that, many Christians observed both days, while still others kept the seventh-day Sabbath only. So that's another thing, right? You got a lot of Christians that try to observe both days, but you can't do that. It's either one or the other. Which one is it? Which is why it's a problem to have that freedom of religion. Why? Because with that freedom of religion, now you can add to the Bible. You can add customs and take on different customs that's not written in the scriptures. Now you can take paganism and mix it with the actual teachings of Christ. See that? That's what freedom of religion does. It gives you the option to change the truth into a lie and believe the lie while the truth is being hidden. Reading on, Constantine the Great changed the Sabbath to Sunday, right? On March 7, AD 321, Constantine the Great issued the first civil Sunday law. Okay, so Constantine was not the only one to change the Sabbath. He was one of them that issued the first civil Sunday law. Okay, compelling all the people in the Roman Empire, except farmers, to rest on Sunday. So check that out. He didn't even want the farmers to rest. Why? Because he still wanted that food supply to keep coming in. Why? Because the food supply is how you control the people. If you have control of the food, the water, and everything else pertaining to that, guess what? You have control of the people. So he don't want the businesses shut down when it comes to food and the people. Yeah, everybody rests except the farmers. The Sabbath said everybody, your maidservant, your servant, your animal, everybody's supposed to be rested. Your sons, your daughters, right? You don't get to pick and choose who gets to rest, right? Reading on. This, with 5 other civil laws decreed by Constantine concerning Sunday, set the legal precedent for all civil Sunday legislation from that time to the present. That's why you see some stores that's closed on Sundays, because they're following that tradition. Even the businesses that don't know what the hell they're closing down for on that day. They don't know that tradition comes from taking away the true Sabbath and bringing in Sunday worship. Reading on. In the 4th century, the Council of Laodicea urged Christians, see that? They urged Christians to honor Sunday by abstaining from work on that day if at all possible, and prohibit them from abstaining from work on the Sabbath. So again, brothers and sisters, even the very same Sunday worship custom is not in the scriptures. You can't find it. Your very calendar tells you Sunday is the first day. So why does America acknowledges it, right, as the 7th day? You have a lot of people that go to, oh yeah, today's a Sabbath. You ask people, what's a Sabbath? Sunday. Why? Because I go to church that day. There's no other reason besides because they go to church that day. It's not because the Bible says it. It's not because we have historical artifacts to show Sunday is the true day. None of that. It's just simply adding traditions and customs. Let's go to the next slide. So Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Right? It says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God had given thee. Right? So we're supposed to honor our mother and our father according to Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Now, in this verse, do we read one time a year? Do we read 2 times a year? Do we read 3 times a year? No, we just read honor thy father and thy mother. So obviously the instruction is every day you're supposed to honor them. It didn't give us a specific day. Okay, let's go to the next slide though. America tells us to celebrate Father's Day. Right? We got a holiday here in America. Not we, but America has a holiday that's called Father's Day. On this day, you're supposed to acknowledge the father. Oh, good father. He's been a good dad. You know, he's as far as what how the people see it, right? Oh, I'm a good dad. I've been there for my children. Even the ones that haven't been there for their children. I haven't been there for my children, but it's still Father's Day, so I deserve credit. Right? It's a whole bunch of folly mixed up in this holiday. You got women, right? You got women saying, I am the father and the mother, so happy Father's Day to me. Right? She's the man and the woman. She's the father and the man. So even if Father's Day was a holiday to be celebrated, that the Most High permitted, guess what? Our people still celebrating it wrong. We got, again, we got the women saying, I am the father. But we don't hear too many men saying on Mother's Day, I am the mother. Right? So Father's Day, where did it come from? Salus or Colus was the primal god of the sky in Roman mythology. There it goes again, brothers and sisters. Roman mythology. These customs come from Rome. And theology, and iconography, and literature. Father's Day was originally a pagan holiday, the Great Sky Father's Day. Part of the week of celebrations leading up to the summer's solstice, the day was given over to celebrating the sky fathers, providing for his human children with its rich gifts of sun and rain. Also going into sun god worship, right? Gifts of sacrificial goats and sheep, recognizable by the festive ribbons bound about their necks, were supplemented with prayers for his continued guidance in the human journey toward spiritual adulthood. So that's where Father's Day comes from, brothers and sisters. It's not a day to actually celebrate fathers and their accomplishments and how hard they work for their family. And let's acknowledge the dad. And because that was the case, guess what? America would be giving them a raise, getting them some type of, gift or some type of something to acknowledge them. Hey, listen, man, we're gonna start you on your business, whatever. If they're really in celebration of Father's Day. But guess what? It's really the celebration of a pagan god, right? That represents the sky. So they call him the Great Sky Father. See that? Now on the right on the screen, you see what? You see a stone engraved with this god. Right? They made a statue. They made a statue out of it because every pagan god that they had, they always made a statue out of it. It's always a drawing, a symbol, something that represents that god. So here we see an archaeological finding. Right? This is dating back to the 3rd century AD. Showing sailors, the sky god, flanked by allegories of the season. Right? So you can find them in the museum as well. So these things are there, brothers and sisters. The proof is in the pudding. So America telling us to celebrate Father's Day is letting us know that pagan worship is okay. Okay, it's letting us know to worship the primal god of the sky. That's what they mean by Father's Day. Now it's just like Christmas, right? Our people, they don't, but they get grown, they get old, they're grown. They don't believe in Santa Claus, but they're still keeping the customs of Christmas. That doesn't dismiss that you're participating in a pagan holiday. It doesn't dismiss the fact that God said not to celebrate it, period, because it's not in the Bible. It's the same thing with Father's Day. So I better not see y'all Israelites out there, happy Father's Day, yeah, let me get a drink. None of that, all right? Because Father's Day is every day. We just read the law where it says, honor your mother and your father. Okay, let's go to the next slide. America also tells us to do what? Celebrate Mother's Day, right? Our women in the world, they love this one, right? They get the receive gifts. They get to get treated like a goddess, all the attention. Yeah, Facebook posts. Yeah, I'm a mother. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to me. A lot of these women, they wish a happy Mother's Day to themselves. Like, damn, you that lonely, sis? Like, come on, get yourself a man. Just come on, stop it. Real talk, right? Happy Mother's Day to me. I'm hard work. Like, you acknowledging yourself. Ain't nobody even giving you the credit. You just giving your credit to yourself. Like, what? Who are you? Right? Just a moment to try to make yourself feel special. Like, try to be like, be someone, or try to feel like you're someone. Guess what, brothers? Guess what, sisters? You don't need Father's Day for that. You don't need Mother's Day for that. You do need the laws of the Most High for that, because you have to be celebrated every day in righteousness, keeping the commandments of the law and the laws of the Most High. That's how you do it. Not by America telling us, yeah, go ahead and celebrate Mother's Day, and you don't even know the origin of Mother's Day. Right? So let's read this. Mother's Day has pagan origins that can be traced back to ancient Greece. Do y'all see a correlation here? America, Rome, Greece. Side note, right? And Rome. Right? Read that again. Mother's Day has pagan origins that can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome. The first celebration observed in honor of a mother was an ancient Greek spring festival dedicated to the goddess Rhea. Cybele, a mother of goddesses, was also worshipped in Rome as early as 250 BC. The American Mother's Day has its roots in a centuries-old English pagan tradition called English Mothering Day. So we see Mother's Day is also the celebration of a pagan god. See that? A mother of goddesses. It's not a coincidence when you look back at the history that it has an ugly origin, has an evil origin. Why? Because all these holidays is not in the scriptures. Though the president, Joe Craig Biden, and the ones before him promised to uphold the Bible while swearing on it. So you can see why Revelation, the 18th chapter, says the sins have reached unto heaven. Right? The sins of Babylon, which is today America, have reached unto heaven, because all this idolatry, all these laws that they're breaking by enforcing their own laws and making it lawful here in America, guess what, brothers and sisters? That's been going on since the beginning and establishment, since 1492. So imagine since 1492 up to this present date, and that's just in America. Not all the evil that these group of people, these Edomites, these so-called Europeans and white people did before that. We're just thinking with America right now. So from 1492 to now, can you imagine all the sins committed, all the blood spill, all the stealing, the murdering, the robbing, the raping, right? The unjustful laws. That's why the Most High has to destroy this place. There's no healing America right now. There's no healing Babylon. It's too wicked. For sins to reach up to heaven. Now, none of us can measure the distance from here on earth to the heavens. So for the Most High to even have that statement made, that's how you know it's a crucial time in history right now to get right with the Most High, because the Most High is bringing America down, brothers and sisters. Don't get caught up with the wickedness and folly. Don't let your light die out, man. Right? Don't let your light die out. We over here going through stress and problems now that there's no longer the truth. Right? Oh, yeah, I lost my job, or my children don't want to be affiliated with me because I'm in the Bible and all this and all that. Guess what? Don't give up. That's part of the struggle. That's part of the trials and tribulations. That's part of your test, right? Don't you get caught up in Mother's Day. You're like, I don't celebrate Mother's Day. I'm an Israelite. Then your closest family comes, hey, girl, happy Mother's Day. Oh, you too, girl. What we going to do tonight? Right? No. Hey, sis, I don't do that. But, hey, listen, I acknowledge you every day. That's it. Hey, brother, you know, I don't do Father's Day, but, yo, you've been a great dad, bro. I acknowledge that and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? You don't have to go as far as to go into the celebration and following the customs. Okay, you got brothers that was in this truth before. Yeah, Christmas is evil, Mother's Day is evil, Father's Day is all pagan. You see them right back in the world with you know, chocolates and flowers for their girlfriends, and you know, they got pressured by their girls, and they were like, oh man, I'm about to lose my girl. You know what, baby? I'll bring you some chocolate and some flowers. Don't leave me. Right? Peer pressure. Right? You listen, when you're in this truth, man, you're gonna have to be willing to lose a couple of things, brothers and sisters. For a greater reward, you have to risk certain things. Why? Because the reward is always greater than the risk. Okay, once again, the reward is always greater than the risk. Okay, and you have no negative risk in following the laws of the Most High. Let's go to the next slide. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. Now we know there the word is, when you go back to Hebrew 2, is actually murder. Right? So we're not supposed to murder. And this is actually one of the universal laws. Okay, when we talk about universal laws, it's laws that all nations know is the right thing to do. They acknowledge, like, yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be doing that. Right? But does America follow this law? Let's go to the next slide. So America has been involved in many wars. If you know the history of America, you know that America has started most wars, right? Instigated most wars, intervened in wars they had no business in, conquered lands, conquered people, bombed children, bombed pregnant women, bombed men. That's what America does. America, every time they make a new nuclear missile or a new weapon of mass destruction, they love to show it off. And on top of loving to show it off, they love to test it out. So we have to understand that war is in the heart of America, and these politicians and these presidents and these higher ups, the elites that run the country. They're obsessed with war. They're obsessed with making new technology every day. Thus, they're making AI robots for your jobs. Right? They're making robots for your job. They're making all types of technology. They made a digital, right? They got Fed now, which is now a digital currency, or a new digital currency that came out from the feds. And guess what? Slowly but surely, that's going to be influencing all businesses and all banks. And they're going to become digital. Now the government can watch your every transaction and can control it too. Oh, you want to be a rebel? You want to be an Israelite? Bank account zero. You want to go out there and teach the word of God? Bank account -0. If they can even get that low, right? -0,000. Your social credit ain't good. You can't even get an apartment, no car, no job, no nothing. So America has always had this taste for war, right? They're blood hungry, or bloodthirsty, should I say? Let's read some of this article, right? Some of this article that I got here, because we're also going to look at some is a lot, but some of the wars that they included themselves in and that they started, right? Yes, a lot. Cause somebody keep calling me, man, but it's all good. They gonna have to wait, right? So let's look at this real quick, right? So we at the website. Where's the article I want? This one. Yep, it's this one. So if we look at the screen, we're gonna see a list of wars that America has been in. And this list is only starting at 1675, y'all. 1675, we can go back to 1492, 100 plus years back. But let's start with this. 1675, let's start at that, right? We had King Philip's War. That's when they took over the so-called Mexicans, right? They conquered the Mexicans. They took 55% of the land that they owned. Okay, this was you know, one of the biggest wars in history. And this is a known war where the European settlers, they knowingly took the land over and knowingly forced and pushed out the natives out of that land, right? Over there in the west is where the King Philip's War was being fought. So we got King Philip's War, we got King William's War, right? The English colonies versus France. Because guess what? America makes war with every nation, man. Right? All these settlers that came here and all that, they bonded together and decided, you know what? We're gonna stick together for the agenda of the greater purpose, which is to conquer America, keep power, and keep people in total control. Right? We got Queen Anne's War, the English colonies versus France, King George's War, French and Indian War, right? Cherokee War, American Revolution, Franco-American Naval War, Barbary Wars, War of 1812. Like, damn. Right? This all wars that America has been fighting. War of Texas Independence, Mexican-American War, U.S. Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, listen, man, like it's obvious, right? America is a nation of murder. If they don't start the war, they're putting their nose in the business where they don't belong. Right? Grenada in 1983, U.S. invasion of Panama in 1989, Persian Gulf War, intervention in Bosnia, right? Invasion of Afghanistan, invasion of Iraq, war. All these wars, brothers and sisters, look at this. I'm still going down. Let's go to some recent ones we may know. The intervention in Libya in 2011, right? The Apocrypha in 2 Next, which is the 16th chapter, the first verse tells us what? Woe and destruction unto Syria. We all know that's prophecy, but just let you know who the devil is. Okay? We got the Lord's Resistance Army. You know, we got the U.S.-led intervention in Iraq, U.S.-led intervention in Syria, Yemeni war, a civil war, U.S. intervention in Syria, and this stops at 2015. We are in 2023 now, so you can imagine the many other wars that we're in now, right? You got the biggest one right now is what? America helping out Ukraine. Again, sticking their nose where they don't belong. See that? And now our tax money is going to Ukraine to help the U.S. give them military aid and buy weapons. Guess what, brothers and sisters? Taxes is voluntary, but they take it out of your checks anyway, and they force you to pay it. So guess what? That's thievery. That's robbing you. Thou shalt not steal. I kind of jumped the gun. Thou shalt not steal, but guess what? They stealing from us every single day. Your check's supposed to be $3,000 gross. That's what you work. You only get like $1,500, maybe $2,000. Okay, so this is the wars that America has been involved in and actually led as well. Okay, let's go to another list. We got another list here on the slide. Let's see. Okay, let's go to this other list. Check out this other list. It might have mentioned some other wars this list don't mention. Look at that. There's wars that is not even mentioned on this list that's mentioned in other lists, right? We go the same thing. We go back to 1775. Okay, American Revolutionary War, of course, the Cherokee Indian Wars, right? The Quasi War. You know, matter of fact, when you look at the war strategy that America has, right? America has a strategy where they will finance the opposite side to work with them. They will finance, if they're gonna, when they invaded Afghanistan, they financed, right, people in Afghanistan to actually, you know, hold it down for them, right, and oversee what's going on in daily operations over there for the American government. Just like in Mexico, right? In Mexico and Puerto Rico and all these places in the Caribbean, we have the American government planting overseers of our people, right? Puppets and sellouts, in other words. They'll call them overseers. So, you know, they have overseers of our people playing the puppet to control, you know, the population. That's been their tactics from day one. Back then, when they were linking up with Native American tribes to bring down other tribes, and then they'll just bring down all tribes at once, the same ones that helped them. Guess what? History repeats itself, brothers and sisters. They're still doing the same thing today. Right? In Jamaica right now, damn, shout out to my Benjamites, man. I know a lot of my Benjamite brothers and sisters, you're mad, right? Why? Because in Jamaica right now, in the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica, they don't have a Jamaican flag. They only have a United States flag and a gay flag next to it, but no Jamaican flag. Right? Bati boy, right? You know, y'all go check out. I think the clip is on YouTube and on Instagram, one of them, but I've seen it. The U.S. Embassy in Jamaica has no Jamaican flag. It has a United States flag and a gay flag next to it. Right? And some of my Benjamite brothers, as they should be, they're tight. They mad. Okay, so again, going over the wars. These are all the wars that America has been in. Okay? The first Seminole War, right? We didn't even mention other wars. I don't even think I mentioned the wars against the Seminoles over there in Florida. That's another war. There was always war within wars. That's the crazy part. So for America to be proclaiming to be a nation of righteousness, a nation of liberty, of freedom, that's all a lie, man. It's all a gimmick. On top of that, have a Greek, Roman goddess representing the Statue of Liberty, off as hell. Right? So y'all can go ahead and check out all these wars. Look at that. The list just keep going on. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Look at it. Bang, bang, bang. All this. Yup. That's America's track record right there. Right? Operation Ocean Shield. Right? They take the war to the ocean. They got submarines and ships, right, that shoot from the water into dry land. You want to know why so many animals are dying in the ocean? Because the government experiments their nuclear weapons in the ocean. That's a lot of nuclear waste, a lot of chemicals. You've seen a lot of weird migration patterns from animals. Like, what the hell is the alligator doing in New York? Right, that type of stuff. I've seen a video of a damn alligator in New York. Right, animals that don't belong in a certain region and originated from another, they're migrating. Why? Because of all the damage that America is doing and the pollution that they're putting into the waters, into the atmosphere, into the ecosystem, period. Okay, so you keep going down with this, so you see more wars, right? Let's go on to the slides. So those are all the wars America was involved in. Let's go to the next slide. The 10 Commandments. Going back to the 10 Commandments. Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. That's a major one right now. It's a major commandment that our people is breaking, but they're also being influenced to do so, and the American government promotes it. There's no law on a penalty of, you committing adultery, except, you can divorce. That's grounds for divorce. But you can divorce, get with another person, commit adultery, divorce again, get with another person, commit adultery, and there's never a penalty. It's never, listen, you're getting 15 to 20 years in prison if you commit adultery. There's no, the Bible says, you shall be put to death for adultery. So if you commit adultery, we're going to put you, there's none of that here in America. So adultery is actually exalted. Nowadays, like I always bring out at camp, it's cool. It's the style to take another man's girl. And honestly, personally, that's not a flex. That's disgusting. A man bragging about taking another man's girl and putting his private part in a place where another man's private part is going into, and he knows it, that's disgusting, man. That's, hey, excuse my language, whatever. That's kind of gay to me. Yeah. Another man's rod is in this woman, and I'm gonna put my rod in there, and I'm loving it. That's gay. That's a pause. That's a major pause. So adultery is not cool, but America makes it so that there's no problem with it. Right, let's go to the next slide. So we know, brothers and sisters, a lot of classic songs, they promote adultery. In which some, before this truth, I used to bump, right? I used to, like, not actually go and listen to it because I want to commit the act, but more like, yo, this song is hot. I like this song. It's fire. You know what I'm saying? The flow is nice. The beat is good. But the words is what's more dangerous than anything. Why? Because words are power, right? The Bible says, John chapter 6, verse 63, Yahweh Shah said, right, that the words is spirit, right? The words that he speaks to us is spirit. So everything that we speak is spirit too, right? It's the spirit that we rolling in. So a lot of times when you inject your mind with too much of this adulterous music that's just talking about straight adultery, guess what? You kind of engrave it in your mind that, you know what, it's not so bad. You kind of get tempted sometimes if you get an opportunity or a chance to do it, because America is sensationalizing it as something good. So you see this Trey Songz, he got a song called Mr. Steal Your Girl, right? Mr. Steal Your Girl, that's off. Right? What's the lyrics says, girl, I know what you want. No phones. We ain't even got to talk. Next time that he leave you all alone, I'm going to come through, replace him. I'm going to watch you. You're naked. I'm going to tell you, girl, take it. That's off. How is this cool? Now, you would ask Trey Songz, would you like your mother to do that to your father? Would you like your daughter to do that to her husband? Would you like your daughter to be a hoe? Would you like your mother to be a hoe? Would you like your grandmother, auntie, whatever, to be a hoe? Nah, that ain't gonna happen on my watch. But he's promoting and writing music that promotes the action we will condemn most likely for his family. Right? We got the another rapper called The Dream. I love your girl. That's off. And to me, I'll be honest, that's a sucker, because that means you can't get your own girl. That means you ain't got enough play to go out there and kick it to a girl that's single. Right? Your game is off. That you feel you have to go to a girl that's taken. Because you probably a cornball. Right? You probably don't got no game. You probably don't know how to talk to them, whatever. So you leech on to whatever's available. Right? You got Drake and Lil Wayne. They got a song called Take Your Girl. Right? Now, one of the classics we all know about, Nelly and Kelly Rowland. Right? Dilemma. Even when I'm with my boo, you know I'm crazy for you, all that. Don't get it twisted. These kind of songs, or that was specifically too. Back in the day, that was like a song I used to groove to. Like, yeah, this joint is hot. This joint is hot. But when you start listening to lyrics consciously, you start saying this is off. Right? But we all know about these classics, brothers and sisters. So America promotes it. And guess what? These are hit records. Right? They're on your billboards. Right? They're played by millions, if not billions of people, or billions of plays. Right? People all over the world. That's a classic. I love that song. But what is the word saying? What is the song saying? Right? And that's key right there. So again, brothers and sisters, America promotes this type of garbage. Okay? America promotes adultery, and it promotes it as a good lifestyle to have. They have all up in music. That's why they got the Rihannas, the Ice Spice, right? The damn Rihanna, Nicki Minaj's. You know, all these artists that just talk about adultery. Right? If you want to make a hit record, talk about taking somebody's girl, you're gonna make it to the top. That's how they make it seem. And that's how it is nowadays, unfortunately. Let's go to the next slide. The 10 Commandments, Exodus 20, 15, thou shalt not steal. Right? So we went over some of the things that America has been stealing already. When you go to the next slide, we see that what? The whole continent of America was stolen from the Native American Indians. North, Central, South America. Right? You see a map of all the tribes of the Indian nation on the right side. All that was taken and stolen from the natives. Now, is America saying, let's give this country and land back to the natives who it rightfully belongs to? Are they saying, you know what, this is stolen land and we're reaping the benefits of a stolen land, so we're guilty by association, and that makes us an accessory to the crime? Let's make it up to them and give them everything right now. All the diamonds, all the gold, all the silver, everything luxury we have here in America, let's give it up and go back to wherever we came from. You think they doing that? Emphatically, no. See that? They're not doing that, man. Who are you? That's what they're saying. Who are you for me to give you back your land? Right? Who are you to give you back what I stole from you? That's how you look at it. It is what it is. That's why there's no such thing as an innocent white person, an innocent East Indian or Arab person. Why? Because not only did they all have a hand in our slavery, but they continue to oppress us today in our own lands, with no intentions of giving it back. Okay, so they stole all of this, brothers and sisters. I don't want to hear none of y'all talking about, oh, but not all white people is bad. What makes them good? Let's start with that. What makes them good? You gotta listen. I done spoke to these white folks before too, man. I done had a conversation with these dudes, and I tell them, listen, would you be willing to give up your bank account, your house, your car, and everything, and go back to your country, knowing that this is a stolen land and it makes an accessory to the crime? Nah, I ain't doing that. Thank you. So by default, there is no good white person. I don't care how much you want to, sugarcoat it, how sweet you want to make it sound. Oh, that's my buddy. Oh, I like Eminem, Slim Shady. I like his first album. We talked about killing his wife and all these drugs and all this. I don't care if Eminem's your favorite rapper. I don't care if you like Justin Bieber. I don't care if you like I don't know, Britney Spears or whatever. I don't care. Justin Timberlake. I don't care how much you like them. They're an accessory to the crime. And they're reaping the benefits of a stolen land that they know themselves belong to us. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. So Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That goes on here in America all the time. We've seen many police incidents, many situations of judges lying, and the DA is related to the judge, and they know each other real well, so they're gonna talk behind the scenes, get a drink in their house, and talk about how they're gonna go about it. We know all of that, man. Okay, I've dealt with top lawyers as well, and I know what will be going on. Okay, they be telling me. They tell me stories. Oh yeah, the judge is related to this person, so we're gonna have a great chance because they real cool. They related. I've been around those conversations, man. And you gotta kind of play the game. Unfortunately, in America, right? You gotta play the game sometimes. To kind of be like, you know what? Hey, it is what it is. Y'all gonna do your thing. I can't do nothing about it. You feel me? So at the end of the day, listen, it's crooks here in America, and they're not checked. They're not penalized. The ones that get penalized are the ones that make it too obvious. Hey, that was too obvious, man. We don't do nothing. The people are gonna have a problem with it at a large scale, so we're gonna have to kind of, give you a slap on the wrist. But we'll bring you back in a year to when people forget about it. Come on, man. These devils, they know how they think, man. They know how to get away with stuff because our people are not critical thinkers. They don't put one on one together. Matter of fact, we're so busy like banging in the streets. You see all these videos with these youngsters coming up nowadays, disgusting. Oh yeah, this person got shot over here, dead. There was a dead body over here. Yeah, we was banging over here. That's stupid, man. Meanwhile, the white man looking at y'all like y'all stupid. Like, oh, you know what? Keep doing that so we can lock y'all niggas up. Y'all don't own none on the block, but y'all want to bang for the block. Y'all own the block, y'all don't own. How the hell did that make sense? Yeah, I run this block, son. I run this block. When the police come, I run. You know, I own this block, but not one property I own in my name. None of that. But this is my block. Man, shut the hell up. Right? But that's why the Most High allows our people sometimes to go through the stuff, because our people, you know, a good portion of our people is, you know, they're not spiritual, they're not connected with the Most High, and they're out here doing stupid stuff. So when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? So thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Let's go to the next slide. So who remembers the woman who lied on Emmett Till? Right? She didn't get indicted. She admitted that she lied. She admitted it was a damn lie. But her old ass got to live. No indictment. Right? Let's look at this news clip real quick.
Well, a grand jury in Mississippi today declined to indict the white woman whose accusations set off the lynching of Emmett Till nearly 70 years ago. Carolyn Bryant Dunham, now 88, initially claimed that Till made unwanted advances towards her at her family's grocery store. It led to the brutal torture and lynching of the 14-year-old. The prosecutor said the grand jury found insufficient evidence to charge Dunham.
Insufficient evidence, although out of her own mouth, she actually told the truth about the situation. You see how white America is? Now, according to the laws of the Most High, guess what? That false witness is supposed to receive the judgment that she wished upon the person being blamed. In this case, she was supposed to get tortured because she lied. She was supposed to receive all the judgments that Emmett Till received for lying. But they gave this white woman a pass. In their eyes, that's a badge of honor. You did the right thing. Guess what? People's not going to outcry now. That was more than 20 years ago, more than 30, 40 years ago. They ain't going to remember. They ain't going to rise up. So for that fact, guess what? They get away with these things, man. And this is why the Most High has to judge America. You have to judge these other nations. I don't understand how the hell you get salvation for other nations when these kind of things is going on. I don't understand. No amount of money, no amount of fame, no amount of nothing can convince me that these white folks can now be saved. These white folks are good now. We're good. Nothing can convince me, brothers and sisters, and nothing should be able to convince you either, because actions speak louder than words. The Bible tells us his words were smooth as butter. He speaks to you smoothly. Right? He comes and gives you a handshake firmly and speak eloquently, so-called. Right? Know how to put sentences together. Blue eyes, blonde hair, pale skin. Oh my God, this guy, what's going on? Right? Our people literally sometimes worship these Europeans. But they were evil people. That's how crafty the Most High made them. Why? Because he used that same crafty nation to put us in subjection for breaking his laws, statutes, and commandments, for being more than 3/5 of a person. Right? We were more than 3/5 of a person when we kept the laws. We started breaking the laws. The Most High put in this position where we consider 3/5 of a person. See that? That's why we got to fear the Most High and keep his commandments. Ecclesiastes 12. Let's go to the next slide.
Well, a grand Baltimore police are
So many said this is one clip, right, out of many incidents that happened, but this one just happened to get caught on camera, right? One out of many. And imagine the ones that don't get caught on camera. So we also have cops bearing false witness on people that they stop, people that they pull over, people that they stop and frisk. All right, let's look at this clip.
Baltimore police are investigating video that appears to show an officer planting evidence in a drug case. He places a can in a trash-filled lot, seemingly unaware his body camera is recording. Moments later, he retrieves the can, which contained a bag of white capsules. Prosecutors have now dropped charges against the man arrested for drugs.
See that? So we got cops planting drugs on people. They so desperate for a case. They so desperate for a case, they start planting drugs on people. Bearing false witness. Yeah, this is yours. And you see the other cops around. Look at this dude.
That appears to show an officer planting evidence in a drug case. He places a can in a trash-filled lot, seemingly unaware his body camera is recording.
He got 2 other officers with him. Do you think these 2 officers went back and said, "Hey, listen, man, that's not right. You shouldn't have done that. I'm going to report you. Hey, listen, man, we're about justice. We don't do criminal activities like planting drugs on people and bearing false witness. We don't do that." You think those 2 officers went back and told, their head or their sheriff, "Hey, listen, man, this officer did this"? No. They kept it quiet under the rug, ain't say a damn thing. Because they in it together. They ain't gonna rat out their fellow policemen. Because in the police force, in case y'all don't know, there's a code, right? An unwritten rule. You never snitch on the next officer. You never give them up. Never. And if you do, guess what? You're going to be looked at the oddball. Or this dude right here, he tap dancing for the community. We over here trying to cover up our dirt. That's how they look at you. So these 2 officers right here, guess what? They're just as guilty. Why? Because they didn't say a damn thing about it. Right, let's go to the next slide. So Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. I'm going to wind it down before 12. It's 11:45 now. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Let's stop there. In this society, we have, fashion models. They put on outfits promoted for the people that own it, right? And normally these outfits are showing your behind, your chest area, vaginal areas, butt, right? All these type of stuff to make you want to covet, let's say, your neighbor's wife or woman, period, but you don't know if that woman's married. Even then, they still promote it and allow you to covet after your neighbor's wife. Instead of saying, "Hey, sister, you're married, cover yourself up. Only your husband's supposed to see that." Instead of doing that, guess what they do? They promote, the sexy fashion, the G-strings. You got women that got their chest out and got their, just a part painted, but got their chest out, right? A lot of Kiki Palmers out here, right? A lot of Kikis out here. I saw them start calling a lot of Kikis out here. You know what I'm saying? Which promotes the lusting of another man's wife, right? The house, the mansion says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house." The mansions and all this, material things they show us on TV. They promote artists with mansions and cars and now don't get it twisted, brothers and sisters. Ain't nothing wrong with having nice things. Nothing wrong with it. But when it's being promoted as the standard, where if you don't have a mansion, if you don't have cars and jewelry, you're not a man, you're considered nothing in this world. That's where the problem comes in. Because now, for a person feeling like they're nothing for not possessing these things, they're gonna try and do what? They're gonna go and covet after these things now. Damn, I want that. I want Rick Ross's house, man. I wish I had Rick Ross's house. Yo, damn, Rick Ross's house, he got mad acres of land. Damn. I could do many stuff. Oh, I wish I had Mike Tyson's mansion. Man, what? You know what I'll be doing? That's corny. But that's what's being promoted and influenced in our community. Again, there's nothing wrong with having these things. It's a problem when you covet it, or because your neighbor, damn, my neighbor got this. I wish I had that too. Oh man, my neighbor just copped a damn I don't know, what's one of these, a BMW. Damn, I want that same one. That's covetousness. The Lord is against that, but America promotes that, right? And it also provokes us to what? Jealousy, because a lot of us is have-nots, right? And being a have-not, a lot of times, you be like, damn, you know what? I'm about to rob some people, right? I could be considered something in society and have something. That's the wrong mind frame, by the way, But that's where it leads to. It leads to the mentality of our people robbing each other because fashion and material things is promoted so much, it makes you feel like nothing if you don't have it. Imagine music industries and commercials, right, promoting feeding the homeless, clothing those that don't have clothing, right, donating to actual establishments that would help the community, opening up trade schools, right, opening up agriculture classes, learning how to plant, learning how to grow vegetables and things of that nature. Imagine that was promoted, right, above all things. Then the mentality would shift now. The energy would shift into, you know what? Man, these rappers, they helping out the poor, and that's what's making them elevate. I'm going to go help out the poor too. You see that? It's a chain reaction. But that's not so. You have the industry promoting garbage and not people following it. Right? So it's 11:48. I go to my next slide. And that'll be the last one for today, right? So the Bible commands us to leave the food for the poor. That's what the Bible commands us. Leave the, if you have land and or if you have a stock of food and you know you can help the poor with it, the Bible commands us to help them. Right? Leviticus chapter 23, verse 22. It says, and when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord. Does America do that? I don't think so at all. Okay, America does not leave anything for the poor. Matter of fact, they make sure if they have a land full of crops, they taking every single one of them. Even if it goes bad, you know what? I'm going to take it. I ain't going to use it. It's going to rot. So what? I don't want the poor to have it, though. That's how they think. That's the mentality of your American dream. Right? The American dream that people want to live, that's the dream right there that they're giving you. They're giving you an actual nightmare instead of a dream. Right? They call it a dream because you're sleeping when you're thinking about it. You sleep. When you wake up, it's a damn nightmare. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10 says, and thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. See that? So we're supposed to leave food for the stranger. Now, even some of our people, right, with their mentality now, I ain't leaving nothing, man. There's one more grape there. I gotta have that grape. Take that grape, man. Don't leave nothing for nobody. That's the mentality of some of our people. Why? Because they adopted that mentality from the oppressors. Yeah, don't leave them a damn thing. Nah, don't leave them nothing, man. Take everything, man. These dudes can hustle on their own. Let them do their own thing, right? That's the mentality. It's the crab in the barrel mentality and the selfish mentality. And that's why the Lord has a problem with us, because we have adopted the ways of the slave masters, right? That's why he always reminds us, remember how you got treated in Egypt? Remember that, so you know how to treat your brother. You hated the way you was treated in Egypt. Don't do it to your brother. Don't do it to your sister. Right now, we're hating the way we're treated in America. Don't do it to your brother. Don't do it to your sister. Okay, so if America was following the laws of God, if they swore in on the Bible and actually followed the book, they'll be leaving food for the poor. They'll be leaving food for the stranger. They won't be trying to buy up all these fields like Bill Gates and try to put GMO foods on it to fulfill their own agenda for population control. They wouldn't be doing that. Let's go to the next slide. Exodus chapter 23, verse 11. But the seventh year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat. And what they leave, the beasts of the field shall eat. So guess what? Not only are we feeding the people with food, we're supposed to be feeding our animals, the beasts of the field. The lions, the tigers, right? The wolves. They animals, but guess what? They get hungry too. The Most High created them, right? And we're supposed to be lords over them, taking care and having a care over them. But in this society, you see stray dogs everywhere, stray cats everywhere, animals starving, right? And there's no one to take care, except for certain establishments. That's what they do. But for the most part, America doesn't have a setup where everybody's being fed, from the humans to the animals, from the people to the animals. So even the animals are suffering here in America. They're not being fed. They're not treated the proper way. All these slaughterhouses, you see how they treat the animals? There's a certain way we're supposed to kill the animal in order for us to consume it, but America goes contrary to that too. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 24, in verse 19, it says, when thou cuttest thine harvest in thy field, and has forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. Oh, damn. There was 20 oranges. I left 3. Yo, go get that real quick, man. Nah, man. Man, greedy, man. You going greedy now. You already got 17. Leave the 3 there for the other people, for the animals to eat, man. What's wrong with you? Right? Stop being greedy. Right? Shout out to DMX, rest in peace, right? You know, y'all been eating long enough now. Stop being greedy. That's what the Most High say, man. Stop being greedy. Don't take every little thing. There's gonna be people out there that don't have it like you do, and they're gonna need that. Okay. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. Now remember, a lot of times when women and children lose their fathers, they lose a source of income and a source of provision. Why? Because the man is the head of the household, is supposed to provide for the family. Once they lose that provision, guess what? They can only lean on the community and the village to help. So we're supposed to help our people, right? We ain't supposed to leave them fatherless and widowed and hungry. We ain't supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be taking care of them and saying, don't worry about it. We got you. Your children is going to be good, and your family going to be good, and you going to be good. Okay? That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hands. Let's go to the next slide real quick, and then we're going to end up with that. So restaurants and food shopping stores all over America are required to throw away leftover food. And this is by the millions. Okay? Millions of pounds of food being thrown away instead of being fed to the poor. Right, let's look at some of these videos real quick. Let's play this. So there's dozens of food piled up, ready to get thrown away, and not even the employees can have it. It has to be thrown away. That's crazy. Right, deli meat, milk, butter, cakes, and other foods. Right, people starving to death in the world, and they're going to throw all the away on set in the video. And that's true. They're throwing millions of pounds of food away. And this was even after a tornado. So a tornado hit the area, and you got Walmart throwing away food that the people need. See that? Now they're also saying, they were saying that the food was unsafe to eat, even though the expiration date, right, even it didn't expire. That's a damn lie. You see that? So let's keep playing this video. We're gonna shut it down. As a matter of fact, it's 11:56. Let Tabernacles of David do their thing. So we're gonna close it out, and we'll continue this next week. Most High will, if not next week, the week after that. But it'll be a multiple series to America versus the Bible. Because guess what, man? There's a lot of things to go over. A lot of laws. We just went over the 10 commandments today and 2 or 3 commandments inside. But there's 613. And once again, we know that America's not following the least of it, right? And through this presentation, we've seen that, right? So all praise to the Most High, B'Hashem Yahushua. You know, I hope brothers and sisters got edified. I hope you have a great Shabbat. I hope if you're going to camp, you be safe out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, make sure your boots are strapped. Make sure you're ready for whatever. But also make sure that you're teaching the people, right? With that, I'm going to say, Kum Yasha Allah, right? Peace to the brothers and sisters across, whoever's watching. Most High bless y'all. And Shalom.
Shout out to all my high exalted warriors, man. Rum the dog of Bayern. Run. War. They said they got the time, boys, say no more. Look up to the sky for a flaming sword. It's no surprise we who they hating on. Ancient war, break them all, then we praise our Lord. See we them kings, we coming back, take everything, make it a stack. Ancient of days, painting the map, trusting the king, holy and black, twisting their brain, but it's a fact. This is the way, killing the chat. They are Josiah, drill them to ash. You'll see one day, break down that cocaine, Diablo, jewelry, all day, propane, follows, coonies, sellouts, you'll be sorrow. Nigga, they hate these promises. You'll be swallowed. It was getting scary. Putting their head in the cemetery. By what they feed or you getting buried. Never been sweeter than Ben and Jerry's. Pray to the heavens, I'm military. Child of the east in my city near me. Drinking the grape cause I'm getting weary. Yahweh Ha'abba, the glory glaring. War.
They say they got that time, boy, say no more. Look up to the sky for that flaming sword. They done woke a lion, boy, we Davis boys. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war.
Rope to the chain and I'm running up. Inches of freak, I ain't blunted up. Poured up my heart in the jungle love. The curses of Jake were the mother, bro. Gave me a sword, I was Gideon. Hiding our face, couldn't cover up. It's they day of oblivion. Y'all see me on main and I'm cutting up. Ain't no gang with your army. Yeah, them generals know me. Never no cream in the coffee. Cherub beaming, we soaring. Blue beaming, we zoning. It's just a thief in the night. And we Ezekiel bright. But didn't we give him a warning? Shemaiah Shallah. Who the must recall? It be that Rum Gadar. Kodash Ha'abah. Russian Kwambaya. Latazaya Wan. Coming from the heart. Till I join the morning. Don't need opinions, truthfully. Boy, this bigger than you and me. Seeking the book and you'll see that predestined jubilee. And my kingdom of heaven be rooted deep. And I ain't rapping it usually. It's in the blood for mutiny. We bringing the weapon and you gon' see war.
They say they got that time, boy, say no more. Look up to the sky for that flaming sword. They done woke a lion, boy, we Davis boys. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war. Look into our eyes, trust we play with war.
Shemaiah Shirala Yahweh Allah Hayanawa Yahweh Echad Aman Rum the dog of Bayern Kana Shaquat